So today I'm going to make short crust pastry. What you need to do is you need double the quantity of plain flour to fat. I'm just using butter, but you could use a combination of white fat and yellow fat, so lard and butter. So I've got 200 grams of plain flour and 100 grams of butter. I'm going to start by sieving the flour into the bowl. This will aerate the flour, as I mentioned in my previous video. And also to get rid of any lumps there might be within the flour. Okay, that's that done. Now it's really important to make sure that you don't heat up the butter too much because it's going to melt, and we want to keep it as cold as possible. So I've got 100 grams of butter here. I'm just going to cut it, so I want to handle it as less as possible. Cut it into small pieces. Place it into my bowl. I'm just going to start with my knife by cutting the fat into the flour. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to use my fingertips to rub in the butter into the flour. I'm making sure I'm using my fingertips and not the palms of my hands, because the fingertips are the coldest part of my hands. I want to work quite quickly with this because I don't want the butter to melt. So what we're doing now is we're coating the flour with a layer of fat. So it's as if you're giving the flour a waterproof coating. And that's what's going to happen is you're then going to keep the gluten within the flour short, as in a short crust pastry. So we don't want the gluten to sort of escape to give it its elasticity that you would normally find in bread dough. So I keep working that until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. You'll notice that the colour slightly changes to the more of an orangey colour, yellow orangey colour, the colour of the butter, the more I work it. So that should only really take a couple of minutes. If I give the bowl a shake, all the larger lumps come to the surface, so they're the ones you can just quickly work out. So a couple of minutes. Again, not putting my hands in for too long to melt butter. If you had a food processor, you could just put it in that and it will do exactly the same thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to add just a pinch of salt into the mixture. Okay, so in here I've added some ice to it to make it ice cold water. What I'm now going to do is I'm now going to add a tablespoon of water at a time, the cold water, and I'm going to use the knife to cut in and keep cutting. I'm not going to handle it with my fingers just yet until it comes together as a dough. You'll probably need, I'm going to put in 2 to start with. I'm just using my knife, and you'll notice that it comes together. Again, you can use a food processor to do exactly the same process. If I press the knife against the side, you should see it beginning to come together. You don't want to add too much water because it will change the consistency and you don't want a sticky dough. I'm going to add one more. That's better. press it against the side, it comes together so much more easily. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it together into a dough, pour it onto the work surface, and then just bring it together. Just picking up the odd dry bit. Knead it just for a little bit, not too much because it's not bread dough. Just to bring it together into a nice soft dough. And it's really important now to rest and to chill the dough. So I'm going to wrap it in cling film and place it in the fridge for at least half an hour. Can be left overnight. There you go. All ready to place in the fridge.